Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes. And this is the 2006 animated series. It runs, what is it? It says one season, but somehow it's stretched over from 2004. Well, it says here 2006, which, okay, 2006, but when I'm looking at IMDb, it says 2006 and 2010, so it was stretched over a number of years. Let me see how many episodes there was. There were 26 episodes. 26 episodes stretched over 4 years. What's up with that? Um, anyway, it's a if you can look at it right here, you can see it's very anime inspired. It's Western anime ish. It does pull a number of things from the Fantastic Four movies, which had come out previous to this, um, in only tangential ways. Uh, Alicia, the blind sculptress and girlfriend of the Thing, is very much like the one in the movies. The costumes completely different. By the way, these costumes make me think about the new Spider-Man costume that's coming to the comics in about a month or two or three. They seem to bring out a new issue every 2 weeks instead of every month, but issue 63, I think, is going to be the one that has a very white and blue with some orange lining, or black lining. I'm not sure. It's mostly white and blue Spider-Man outfit. Yes, he's going to go back to the original costume after a year or two or whatever, or probably less. But hey, it sells comics supposedly. We're not talking about Spider-Man yet, but this Fantastic Four movie, thank God, does not do what the movies do. It assumes that you know who they are, so it doesn't bother with an origin story. It calls back to it occasionally, and it takes till the third episode to actually call back to their origin. And yes, it involves Doom being in the space station. It in that way, it kind of refers to the original Fantastic Four films. Um, and they also avoid having Doom in the very first episode, making him the big villain. In the first one, they go all out with the Kree and Ronan the Accuser. It's supposedly their first connection with the Kree, and the first time they ever hear about the Skrulls and things like that. So it's expanding sort of that universe, uh, but not adhering so tightly to the version that we saw in the first two. When I say first two movies, yes, I'm ignoring the Corman film, which I know we shouldn't. The Corman film is its thing, but in these this cartoon is most closely tied to those first ones with Jessica Alba and everybody else. And yeah, why can I only say Jessica Alba's name? I don't know. But yeah, speaking of actors, and because this is a very anime inspired style, it's a 2D animation with a number of 3D elements. Whenever there's a flying ship or a fast moving car or a big machine robot kind of thing, then those are animated 3D and laid in there pretty nicely. It works. It works. Um, but I'm talking about the actors. The lead actor in this, playing Mr. Fantastic, is Hiro Kanagawa, and you'd know him from The Man in the High Castle. He was in Zombie for a bit, Altered Carbon. So yeah, I've seen, if you saw his face, if you looked him up, you'd be like, oh, well, geez, I've seen that guy in a million things. So yeah, so the main actor is Asian, Japanese, playing Mr. Fantastic for a very Japanese animation style inspired series. And surprisingly, it works. I wasn't expecting much out of this. Yes, there were some character points they that aren't great, even though I know that the guys who primarily wrote this, Christopher Yost and Craig Kyle, they're big comic book writers. They've been writing Marvel comics for a long time. They deal with the MCU an awful lot. now. And this takes place before, well, yeah, just before the MCU really took off. Um, but for some reason, I don't know who makes these decisions, but Johnny Johnny Storm, who is beautifully played by Christopher Jacot. Jacot? Sure. Jacot. Lara Gilchrist plays Invisible Woman, and Brian Dobson plays Ben Grimm. So those are your main four, the Fantastic Four. I don't recognize the names except for Hero, but they're great. They're great. Unfortunately, Sue is, at least at the start, the first episode, it doesn't, she is not depicted well. They're in the Fantastic Four. They're fairly established at this point. They're used to dealing with big deal monsters, aliens, weird science, and Doctor Doom, obviously. When Johnny is suddenly teleported away, it looks like he was vaporized. She takes the vaporization kind of like pretty angry. Reed, I thought you said it wouldn't hurt him. And she seemed angry. And then when he explains to her that he was more than likely just teleported away to a far corner of the galaxy, somewhere, she faints. Like, oh no, my brother. You're kind of dealing with it with anger when you thought he was dead. But when he's safe, but on the other side of the galaxy, you faint? No, that's not Sue. Sue is easily the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. And yes, she's a mother, wife, husband. Well, she's a mother, wife, sister, everything else. But she's not this, oh no, that was the 1960s. Come on. All right. So yeah, and then she just is like a nagging shrew over Reed's shoulder as he's trying to figure out what's going on with all the science, computers, and everything else. He's just like, "Oh no, don't yell at me, Sue." Kind of, his characterization is totally off, and she's just there like staring him down until he figures out where Johnny is. And by luck, the Kree just happens to teleport their entire execution arena to Central Park, and hey, well, let's just all join the fight then and try to save Johnny. Yeah, so that didn't get off to a good start. The animation was good again because it's not your normal Western animation. You allow for a little bit more fantastic depictions of these characters when it has a more anime feel to it. Robots and just big speed lines and exaggerated stuff like that. That works. That works when you do it in the anime style. It's not as clunky as some of the more recent, like 90s era Western animation, which, again, there's some things that are near and dear to our hearts that some of us grew up with, but comparatively, it's not. It doesn't look great. It doesn't always look great. Let's just say. Anyway, so we talked about the actors, talked about the animation. I watched 3 episodes. The second and the third one involved Doctor Doom. So, and Doom is still also, depending on your flavor of Doom, he's not really depicted. Yes, he's overbearing. He's got a high opinion of himself. He's super powerful. He's always mocking Reed or putting down Reed, and I'm smarter than you, but I'm more smarter than you, whatever. Yeah, it's Doom. It's when he's the second episode involves, right off the bat, before we even see Doom, our first view of Doom is after he's switched bodies with Reed. Like, their little robot sneaks in and zaps Reed, and their minds get switched, and there's Doom's big plan. I'm going to take over the Fantastic Four and take everything you have. And yes, there was a creepy sequence with Sue where he was just kind of distracted for a moment at the idea of taking over the world and destroying the Fantastic Four from inside. And then he Like, Sue shows up like, hey, you thought you're gonna? I want to remind you about your lecture series. I'm gonna cancel those. And she's like, I got lunch with Alicia. I'll see you later. As he's like moving in, like, hey, Sue, it's yes, yes, that was a story element a while ago, and yes, there was a point where Reed and Doom switched bodies for an extended period of time in the comics. Still, it was a weird, uncomfortable bit. Um, Again, Ben and Johnny are, I think they are the best characterized, but they're also broad strokes to how you characterize them. Johnny's always an obnoxious, irresponsible prankster. He's a hotshot. He's always obnoxious, and he's proud of it. Ben is the butt of his jokes. He's the heart of the team. He's loyal. He's strong. He's sensitive, and but he'll stick up for anybody, even Johnny, who messes with him constantly. So yeah, they're both of them are really well characterized, or well performed. I think that's what you're going to get the biggest kick out of if you're a Fantastic Four fan. Reed and Sue, maybe a little bit. They're not as much, and when you and Doom from time to time, the look of Doom is also a big deal because he has a very more anime style to him. Lots of lines and angles to his mask that you don't normally see. Like the old Doctor Doom with a big iron clunky mask. Kirby, it's Kirby, but it's very blocky. This one's lots more curved lines, and it's a different look, and it works again because it's anime style. Paul Dobson plays him. Yeah, okay, cool. There's a Michael Dobson. Maybe they're related. He played Ronan. He plays Ronan the Accuser. And by the way, each of these episodes, while there are single stories, they do plant seeds for future stories here and there. Again, the mention of the Skrulls. The Skrulls are obviously showing up later. What else? Oh, the Microverse, Negative Zone, all the staples of the Fantastic Four universe that you couldn't really expand upon in the 2 films that came out that weren't great. And we'll get to that later, but this is their opportunity to really expand on those themes, those locations, and lots of characters that we haven't. There was no time for in the films, so I kind of like this. It's not going to be my favorite. It's not going to I'm going to rush through watching all 26 episodes, but it's not bad. They're about a half hour each, 21, 24 minutes each, something like that. And yeah, if you're a Fantastic Four fan, it's a good time. Despite the weird characterizations every once in a while, it's better than those movies, technically. And I love Michael Chiklis and Jessica Alba, and Chris Evans, and it's everybody. I love those actors. Everybody in those movies. You cannot keep making Doom the bad guy in every film. Please. If anybody's watching this, for the MCU, Doom should be the big bad, the Thanos level bad behind everything in phases 4, 5, 6. Just the way it is. He has to be revealed. Little pieces here and there, nods to Doom's involvement, little secret things. By the time they reach Endgame a second time, where everything comes together, Doom should be the big bad above all. Even if you bring Galactus and everybody else into the thing, Doom is pulling all the strings. That's what it should be. Anyway, that's a whole other matter. I'm not going to talk about it any further. We talked about this too much. Yesterday, I accidentally hit the button twice, and this was number 179. The second button I pressed was 6 6:45. I don't know if you can see that really well. It's probably blurry. But 6:45 was the next number, so I'm not going to pick another number now. But I'll show you what 6:45 is, and it has an awful lot to do with this. Somewhat. If you thought there was a lot of great nods, if you watch this and you think there's a lot of great nods to the Marvel comics themselves, I already moved it over because I knew what it was. 6:45. You see, it's where are you? 6:45 is Ultimate Spider-Man. So we're gonna watch the Ultimate Spider-Man series, 2 animated Marvel series in a row. That's kind of crazy. So Ultimate Spider-Man is what we're watching tomorrow on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow.